Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the 1970s England. It is a great pleasure to have you with us for the 2021 annual play presented by juniors from the Department of Foreign Languages and Applied Linguistics at National Taipei University.
各位女士、各位先生，晚安！欢迎各位来到1970的英国。我们很荣幸能邀请您一同欣赏国立台北大学应用外语学系第19届年度公演。
Our performance will last for 2 hours, and there will be a 10 minutes intermission break.
我们的演出时间约为2个小时，中场休息10分钟。
Now, let's sit back and enjoy watching Dial M for Murder.
接下来，请各位一同欣赏我们精彩的演出《电话谋杀案》。
Marven, let me give you another drink.
Alice, before Tracy comes, I ought to explain something.
Yes, I've been waiting for that.
I haven't told her anything about this.
That's not surprising. It's a tough thing to do.
When you telephoned this morning, I simply said you wrote crime stories, and I had met you once when you were here before.
That has a pretty guilty ring to it. I've never used it in one of my stories.
Alice, I know you think it's silly. When you get to know Tracy, you will understand why I say that.
Darling, I understand now. That didn't stop me from loving you.
It is not as simple as that. Tracy has changed. She is a completely different person to the one I used to tell you about.
Really? When did all this happen?
That night, I came to say goodbye. When I left your apartment, I came back here. I sat down on the sofa and have a drink. And then I fell asleep. When I woke up, there was Tracy standing in the hall with a bat and tennis rackets. And she just said she decided to settle down to a family life.
Just like that?
Just like that. Of course, I didn't believe her at first, but she made it right. And she has been wonderful ever since.
I suppose that's when you stopped writing me, Marven, is it?
Do you remember those letters you wrote to me?
Yes, I remember.
After I read them, I burnt them. I thought best. All except one. You probably know the one I mean.
I think I do. What about it?
It was stolen. Tracy and I were going to spend the weekend in the country with friends. While waiting on the platform, I noticed my wallet was missing, and the letter was inside.
Where was this?
Victoria Station. I thought I had left it in the restaurant, but when I went back, it had gone.
You mean you never found it?
I recovered the wallet about 2 weeks later from the lost and found, but the letter was inside. Then, about a week afterwards, I received a note. It told me what I get to do to get the letter back.
Yes, go ahead. Go on.
I was to draw 1,000 from my bank in 5 notes, and then change them for use to 1 note. It said that if I went to the police or told anyone else, he would show the letter to my wife.
That's something. You still have the note? Printed. All capitals. Anyone could have done this.
2 days later, I got this one. Both mailed in Brixton.
Throw half the money in the package and mail to John Stephen King. Brixton, Southwest 9. You'll get your letter by return.
It's a little shop. People use it as a forwarding address.
You did mail the money.
Yes, but the letter was never returned. So after waiting about 2 weeks, I went there and said they had never heard of a man by that name. And the parcel was still there. It had never been opened.
That's something, I suppose. May I keep these?
Yeah, whatever you like.
I can't understand why you didn't tell me.
There wasn't anything you could do. You probably would have made me tell Tracy and the police. It was only 1,000. I think I will pay and have done with it.
I'm gonna tell Tracy about us tonight.
No, Alice, please, you mustn't. You don't understand. Tracy has changed. Please.
I wish it was a year ago when you came to say goodbye. We were at the kitchen. I said, I can go through with this. Let's find Tracy and tell her all about it. I believe you have done it then. Well, I can see this is going to be a rough evening. All of us saying nice things to each other. Look, there's only one thing you haven't explained. Why didn't you burn that letter too?
There you are. We thought you were never coming. What have you been up to?
I'm sorry. Something urgent happened, just as I was leaving.
Tracy, this is Alice Holiday.
Alice,
Tracy, I'm terribly sorry to be so late. How do you like it up here, Alice?
well, fine. Just fine, Tracy.
Is this your first visit to London?
No, I was here a year ago for vacation.
Oh yes, Marven told me. You arrived for the radio, don't you?
No, television. For my sins.
Darling, I reserved a table for us.
Yes, I remember, 7 o'clock.
Come on. Then, would you...
But darling, a slight alternation in plans.
Now? Please don't say you can't go.
I'm afraid so. Oldenburg is flying to Brussels tomorrow, and I have to get my monthly report in by that time.
Can't you do it when we get back?
I'm afraid not. It'll take hours. I shall have to think half of this as it is.
Could you join us after the theater? We might go somewhere.
Give me a ring intermission. If I'm bad, I'ma make it.
Well, do try. I'll just get my things. Alice?
Here are the tickets.
Thanks.
I'm afraid this is terribly rude of me.
Not at all. I'm just sorry you can't come.
You must come to dinner.
I'd like that.
What are you doing tomorrow night?
Saturday? Nothing I know of.
Would you like to join a party? It's like a ladies' night.
A party?
Yes, some Americans have been playing tennis all over the continent.
I'm not much of a tennis player.
Doesn't matter, you know New York and all that. Darling, Alice is coming to the party tomorrow night.
Good. You better drop in here first and have a drink.
That's the idea.
Yes, all right.
I will try and get a taxi.
No, we can usually pick one up.
So long, darling.
Enjoy yourself.
So long, Tracy.
Oh, Alice,
Yes?
sell the extra ticket and have the drinks on the proceeds.
Okay, we'll try.
Have a good time.
Thanks. Good night.
Hello?
Hello? Hampstead 7809.
Yes.
Could I speak to Captain Lesgate?
Speaking.
Good evening. You don't know me. My name is Fisher. I understand you have a car for sale.
Yes, an American car.
Yes, I saw it at your garage. How much are you asking?
1,300.
1,300? I see. It certainly looks just a job for me. I don't like that price much.
I didn't like it when I bought it.
Now, when can we meet?
Well, now. How about tomorrow afternoon?
I'm afraid I can't manage that. No, I can't. And I'm going to Liverpool on Sunday. I was rather hoping you couldn't come to a flat tonight.
Where is it?
Maidaville. I'd call on you, only I've twisted my knee badly.
Well, I'm sorry. What's your address?
61A Charrington Gardens.
Harrington.
No, Charrington. Turn left at the underground. It's a 2-minute walk.
I'll be there in an hour.
That's extremely good of you. By the way, will you bring the car?
I'm afraid I can't.
Doesn't matter. I had a good look at it. You might bring registration book and any necessary papers.
Yes, of course.
We can settle this here and now, provided you drop the price sufficiently.
I'm afraid that's out of the question.
Well, let's see what a couple of drinks can do.
Well, goodbye.
Mrs. Fisher?
Captain Escaped.
Yes.
Would you come in?
Thank you. That's very good of you.
Let me have a hat. Have any difficulty finding your way?
No, none at all.
Just sit down. How about a drink?
You know, I can't help thinking I've seen you before somewhere.
It's funny you should mention that. The moment I opened the door, Wait a minute. Lascade? You're not Lascade. Swann. C.J. Swann, or was it C.A.?
C.A.? Well, you've got a better memory than I have. Fisher, when did we meet?
Weren't you at Cambridge?
Yes.
Must be 20 years ago. You wouldn't remember me. I only came here last year.
Well, what a coincidence.
Yes, this calls for a special drink. I was planning to palm you off with an indifferent port, but let's see what we have here. How about this?
Perfect. So, how do you know my car's for sale?
Your garage told me.
Odd. I don't think I'd mention it to them.
I got a fill up and told them I wanted an American car. They gave me your phone number. I say, it says for sale, isn't it?
Of course.
Good. But I refuse to discuss the price until we've had 3 vendors.
I warn you, I drive a hard bargain. Drunk or sober.
So do I.
You know, I think I must have seen you somewhere since we left Cambridge.
Have you been to Wimbledon?
That's it. Windus. Tracy Windus. What's all this about Fisher?
What's all this about Escape? Wait a minute. minute. I think I have a picture of you here somewhere. Oh, yes, here's one. Taken at a reunion. Here you are with the biggest cigar in the business.
That's the first and last reunion I ever went to. What a mother's folk I look.
Yes, you do rather. I always remember you because of the college ball. You were the treasurer, weren't you?
Honorary treasurer. I used to organize the beastly things.
Some of the ticket money was stolen, wasn't it?
That's right. Almost 300. I remember I left it in a cash box in my study. And in the morning, it had gone. 20 years ago.
What are you doing nowadays?
I deal in property. I don't follow tennis quite closely. Do you still play?
No, I gave it up. Or rather, tennis gave me up. One has to earn a living sometime. And I had a pretty good run for money. Went around the world 3 times.
What are you doing now?
I sell music records. Marven arranges. It's not very lucrative, but it gives me plenty of spare time.
I do see you managed to run a very comfortable little place.
My husband has some money of his own. Otherwise, I should hardly feel like blowing $2,500 on a car.
1,300. You see, people with capital don't realize how lucky they are. I'm almost resigned to live on what I can earn.
You can always marry for money.
Yes, I suppose some people make a business out of that.
I know I did.
Why do you think he married you?
Well, I was a tennis star.
Yes, but you've given up tennis. He hasn't left you.
He nearly did. After we were married, I played in championships. And Marven came with me. He didn't like it. And when we got back, he tried to make me give up tennis. In the end, we compromised. I went along to America for the grad school season and returned after the national championships. I soon realized a lot had happened while I was away. For one thing, he wasn't in love with me anymore. There were phone calls which would end abruptly if I happened to walk in. One day, we had a role. I wanted to play in a cover court tournament, and as usual, he didn't allow me to go. I was in the bathroom. The phone rang, and it all sounded pretty urgent. After that, he seemed rather keen to play in a tournament, so I packed the kids into the car and drove off. I parked the car 2 streets away, walked back to the tracks. 10 minutes later, he came out of his house and took a taxi. I took another. His friend lived in a studio in Chelsea. I could see them through the studio window as he cooked spaghetti over a gas range. They didn't say much. They just looked very natural together. You know, it's funny how you can tell when people are in love. I went for a walk. I began to wonder what would happen if he left me. I have to find some way of earning a living to begin with. All these expensive tastes at quad. Well, I was at the top. Now, big tennis had finished with me, and so apparently had my husband. I remember being so scared. I dropped into the pub and had a couple of drinks. As I sat in the corner, I thought of all sorts of things. I thought of 3 different ways of killing her. I even thought of killing him. And it seemed a far more sensible idea. And just as I was working out how I could do it, I suddenly saw something that completely changed my mind. I didn't go to that tournament after all. When I got back, he was sitting exactly where you are now. I told him I decided to give up tennis and stay with him instead.
Well,
as things turned out, I needn't have to go so worked out after all. Apparently, their spaghetti evening had been a sort of a fan farewell. The girlfriend had been called back to New York.
an American?
Yes. There were long letters from there. They usually arrived on Thursdays. He burned them all except one. That one. He used to transfer from wallet to wallet. It was always with him. The letter became an obsession with me. I had to find out what was in it. Finally, I did. The letter made very interesting reading.
Do you mean you stole it?
Yes, I even wrote 2 anonymous notes offering to sell it back.
Why?
I was hoping it would make him calm and tell me all about her. But it didn't. So, I kept the letter.
Why are you telling me all this?
Because you are the only person I can trust. Anyway, that did it. It must put a fear of God into them because the letter stopped. And we lived happily ever after. You know, just a year ago, I sat in that Knightsbridge Park, actually planning to murder him. And I might have done it if I hadn't seen something that changed my mind.
What did you see?
I saw you.
And what's so odd about that?
The coincidence. Only a week before, I've been to a union dinner. The fellows were talking about you. Where have you been recently? Oh, in prison. That was news. Mind you, at college, we all said that Swann would end up in jail. The cash box, I suppose.
Well, what about it?
My dear fellow, everybody knew you took that money. I'll never be treasurer.
Thanks very much for the drink. Interesting, hearing your matrimonial affairs. I take it you won't be wanting that call after all.
Don't you want me to tell you why I brought you here?
Yes, I think you'd better.
It was when I saw you in that pub that it happened. Suddenly, everything became quite clear. A few months before, Marven and I had made our wills. Shared affairs, leaving everything we had to each other, in case of accidents. He worked out at just over 2 million. Investments mostly. Oh, a little too easy to get at, and that was dangerous. They would be bound to suspect me. I need an alibi. A very good one. Then I saw you. I wonder what happened to people who came out of prison. People like you, I mean. Can they get jobs? Do old friends rally around? Suppose they never had any friends. I became so curious that I followed you. I followed home that night and... Would you mind passing me your glass? Thank you. Thank you very much. I've been following you ever since.
Why?
I was hoping sooner or later I might catch you at something and be able to...
Blackmail me?
Influence you. After a couple of weeks, I got to know your routine, and that made it a lot easier.
Rather dull work.
To begin with, yes. But you know how it is. You take up a hobby, and the more you got to know it, the more fascinating it becomes. You become quite fascinating. In fact, there were times when I felt that you almost belonged to me.
That must have been interesting.
You used to go to a dog racing, and you changed your name to Adams.
Yes, I got bored with Swann. Any crime in that?
No, not whatever. In fact, there was nothing really illegal about you. I felt quite discouraged. Then one day, I found you at dog racing. And one day, you disappeared from lodgings. And I phoned your landlady and said, Mr. Adams will be 5. But apparently, that was nothing. Mr. Adams ordered 6 restrained in the Bath Lodge at 200 pounds. Mr. Adams has been such a nice gentleman. That's what seemed to upset him most.
Yes, that always seems to upset them most.
I say, if you want another drink, would you mind putting on these gloves? Now, where were we? Oh, yes, I'll ask you. Then one day, I found you in the dog racing, and I told you home back to new lodgings in Belsize Park. Then Mr. Adams became Mr. Wilson. Mr. Wilson left Belsize Park, owing 16 weeks' reign and somewhat richer, for a brief encounter with Miss Wallace. She was certainly in love with you, wasn't she? I suppose she thought you were growing that beard then to please her. Poor Miss Wallace.
This is all very interesting. Do go on.
July, August, September, upon the 1 to 7, Carlisle Court, occupant Miss Van Doren. Her late husband left the 2 hotels and the large apartment house, furnished. What a base to operate from? Captain escaped. The only trouble is, she does rather enjoy being courted. And she's so very expensive. Perhaps that's why you've been trying to some car for over a month.
Miss Van Doren asked me to sell it for her.
I know. I called her up just before you arrived here. She only wanted $2,500.
Where's the nearest police station?
Opposite the church, 2 minutes walk.
Suppose I walk there now.
What would you tell them?
Everything.
Everything? All about Mr. Adams and Mr. Wilson?
I should simply tell them that you're trying to blackmail me into murdering your husband.
I almost wish you would. When he heard that, we will have the love of our lives.
Aren't you forgetting something?
Am I?
You've told me quite a lot tonight.
What of it?
Suppose I tell them how you followed him to that studio in Chelsea and watched them cooking spaghetti and all that rubbish. Now, would that ring a bell?
It would. Then assume you followed him.
Me? Why should I?
Why should you steal his wallet? Why should you write those background notes? Can you prove it didn't? You certainly can't prove I did. And it would be a strange case of a words against mine. That would puzzle them, wouldn't it?
What could you say?
I should say that you came here tonight, half drunk, and tried to borrow money, on the strength that we were at college together. When I refused, you said something about the letter belonging to my husband. As far as you could make out, you tried to sell it to me. I gave you your money I had, and you gave me the letter. It has a fingerprint on it, remember? Then you said, if I went to the police, you would tell some crazy story about my wanting you to murder my husband. Before you go any further, do consider the inconvenience. You see, I'm quite well known. There will be pictures of you as well. And sooner or later, there will be a deputation of the landlords who will step forward to testify to your character. Oh, by the way, does Miss Van Dorn know about Mr. Adams and Mr. Wilson and Miss Willis? You were planning to marry Miss Van Dorn, weren't you?
Smart, aren't you?
No, not really. I just have time to think things out, put myself in your position. That's why I know you are going to agree.
What makes you think I'll agree?
The same reason. A donkey with a stick behind him and a carrot in front always goes forwards, not backwards.
Tell me about the carrot.
5,000 pounds in cash.
For murder?
For a few minutes' work, that's all it is. And no risk. I guarantee. It ought to appeal to you. You've been skating up pretty thin ice.
This 5,000, where's it?
It's in a small attached case in a checkbook.
Where?
Somewhere in London. Of course, we don't meet again. As soon as you deliver the goods, I shall mail you the tracking ticket and a key to the case. You take this 500 on account.
The police would only have to trace one of these notes back to you to hang us both from the same rope.
They won't. For a whole year, I've been cashing extra 50 a week, always in fivers. I will change them for those I'm addition.
When will this take place?
Tomorrow night.
Tomorrow? Not a chance. I've got to think this over.
It has to be tomorrow. I will do things that way.
Where?
Approximately where you're standing now.
How?
Tomorrow evening. Holiday. Dear American girlfriend. And I will go out to a party. He'll stay here. He'll go to bed early and listen to business news on radio. He always does when I'm out. At exactly 3 minutes to 11, you'll enter the house through the street door. And you'll find the key to this door under the stair carpet here.
The 5th step.
That's the one. Go straight to the window and hide behind the curtains. At exactly 11 o'clock, I'll go to the telephone in the hotel to call my business partner. I shall dial the wrong number, this number. That's all I shall do. When the phone rings, you will see the light go on under his bedroom door. When he opens it, the light will stream across the room, so don't move until he answers the phone. There must be as little noise as possible. After you've finished, pick up the phone and give me a soft whistle. And hang up. Don't speak, whatever you do. I shan't say a word. When I hear a whistle, I shall hang up and redial the correct number this time. I shall then talk back to my business partner as if nothing had happened and return to the party.
What happens next? Go on.
You see the suitcase here. It contains the clothes of Marven for the cleaners. Open it and tip the clothes out onto the floor. Then fill it with some cigarette sparks and some of these cups. Close the lid, but don't snap locks. And just leave the suitcase there, just as it is now.
As if I've left in a hurry.
That's the idea. Now, the window. If it's locked, unlock it and leave it open. Then go out exactly the same way you came in.
By that door?
Yes. And here's the most important thing. As you go out, return the key to the place where you found it.
Under the stair carpet?
Yes.
Yes, but what exactly is supposed to have happened?
Well, they will soon you came in by those windows. You thought the apartment was empty, so you took the suitcase and went to work. He has something, his watch on his light, and you saw the light go on under his bedroom door, so you hid behind the curtains. When he came in here, you attacked him. before he could react. And when you realized you actually killed him, you panicked, bolted to the gardens, and then moved behind.
Just a minute. I'm supposed to have come in through those windows. Suppose they've been locked.
Doesn't matter. He often walks around the gardens before he goes to bed, and he usually forgets to lock up when he gets back. That's what I shall tell the police.
Yes, but he may say...
But he isn't going to say anything, is he?
All right. So, I leave the apartment, I put the key back under the stair carpet, and go out by the street door. Suppose the street door is locked. How do I get in the first place?
The street door is never locked.
What time will you get back?
About 1 or 2. I'll bring Alex back for a nightcap, and we will find him together. And we have been together since we left him. And there's my alibi.
You've forgotten something.
What?
When you get back with, what's her name, Holiday, how will you get in the apartment?
I shall let myself in.
But your key will be under the stair carpet. She will see you get it. It'll give the show away.
No, it won't be my key under the carpet. It will be his. I shall take it from his wallet and hide it out there just before I leave the flat. He's not going out, so he won't miss it. When I got back with Holiday, I used my own key to let us in. And when she's out searching the garden or something, I'll take the key from under the carpet and return to his wallet before the police arrive.
How many keys are there to that door?
Just his and mine.
Right.
Mabel 499.
Tracy, it's me.
Hello, darling. How's it going?
Great. It's really a dreadful play. We're enjoying every minute.
I'm sorry. I'm glad.
Are you going to join us?
I don't think so. I hardly seem to have started. Darling, just a moment. I think there's someone at the door. You may see from the bedroom window. Sorry, darling, false alarm. Look, why don't you take Alice to Jerry's?
How do we get in?
Just mention my name, I know the place. I don't know about the band, but the food's good. Oh, by the way, Maureen called after you left and wanted us for dinner on Wednesday. You've got something in your diary for Wednesday, and I can't read it. Looks like Kate. Who's she? Another one of her girlfriends?
That's Kentner's, you idiot.
Katniss townhouse, of course. I'm so glad we don't have to go to Marie's. She's such a filthy cook.
Well, there's the bell. I must fly.
All right, dear. Have a good time.
Tracy, don't make that martini too watery. Now, where is the picture of the Maharaja?
When are you going to finish pasting in those clippings for me?
All right. I shall find time one of these days. Here it is. This is the Maharaja.
He has 4 Rolls Royces and jewels to sing the battleship. But all he wanted was to play at Wimbledon. The poor darling was so short-sighted, and he could barely see the end of the racket, that on the ball.
Oh, Tracy, you should write a book about all this.
Why don't you two collaborate? A detective novel with a tennis background.
How about it, Alice? You provide me with a perfect murder.
Nothing I'd like better.
How do you go about writing a detective story?
You forget detection and concentrate on crime. Crime's the thing. You imagine you can steal something or murder someone.
Is that how you do it? Interesting.
I usually put myself into the criminal's shoes, and I keep asking myself, what do I do next?
Do you really believe in the perfect murder?
Yes, absolutely. On paper, that is. I believe I could plan one better than most people, but I doubt I could carry it out.
Oh, why not?
In stories, things turn out the way we often want. But in real life, they don't always. No, I believe my murders would be like my bridge. I would make a mistake and never realize it until I find everybody's looking at me.
Drink up, Alice.
Yes.
What are you doing tomorrow?
Nothing.
Why don't we drive to Windsor for lunch?
That's the idea. Come along early, but not too early. We may be nursing a hangover.
How about 11?
Fine.
We can have lunch at the King's Head.
Is that right in Windsor?
No, it's just outside.
Darling, did I lend you my match key? I can't seem to find it anywhere.
I don't know. I may have them both in my wallet. I'll just look. No, I have only got one here.
Are you sure yours isn't in an overcoat?
Yeah, I have looked.
May I borrow yours?
Well, that's a bit awkward.
Why?
I may go out.
Tonight?
Yeah, I think I might go to a film tonight.
What about the radio? Saturday night news?
Oh, yeah, I'll just ask someone else later. I want to go to a film tonight.
I see.
In any case, I will be back before you, so I can still let you in.
Were you getting Saturday night?
I can always try.
But, darling, what?
Well, I like that. You two go having fun, while I stay home and do those boring clippings.
Nothing to do? There are hundreds of things to do. Read packing, thank you for the weekend. And how about those clippings? You promised me you'll finish them for me.
Tracy.
I'll call it granted that we're not coming.
What do you mean?
It's obvious you don't want us to go, so we won't. We'll stay here with you. What shall we do, play cards?
All right, I'll stay home and do those boring clippings.
Really? You don't have to if you don't want to.
All right, I'll do it.
Well, I think I'll try and spare up a taxi.
Have you any paste?
Yes, there's some in the desk. I believe you need some scissors.
They're in the mending basket.
Lend me some change. I need some money for the taxi.
Hey, this is my wallet though. How much do you need?
Let's see how much you've got.
You put that down.
You owe me 15 baht anyway.
Why?
I paid a package, isn't packing.
Let me get it then. Keep your hands up. Now, how much do you need?
I've got 10 pence. It got all to get us there back.
But you had better take something. How much are the dinner tickets?
Paid for, tip included. If I run short, Alice will help out.
Taxi's here.
What are you waiting for?
Nothing, dear. Goodbye, Marvin.
When will we get back?
About 12. I'll bring Alice back for a nightcap. Will you be up?
I shall be fast asleep, and I don't want to be disturbed.
We shall be quiet as mice. Good night.
Good night.
Oh, Marvin?
Yes?
You know, it's possible that the old man buggers might call. Tell them we were at the Grundon. It's maybe important.
What's the number?
It's in the book.
All right.
Goodbye, darling. All right, Alice.
Staying at the Bay Hotel. Do you know the hotel in the Dartmoor? Well, it's not exactly in the Dartmoor, but sort of in the district. Anyway, the whole point of this story is that it concerns Dartmoor Prison. I was staying at the Torbay Hotel. As I was saying, I went to the bar. I turned to him and said, "What are you doing here?" And he said, "I'm a commercial traveler. I sell agricultural machinery." And I said,
"Do any of the fellows have the right time?"
Yes, I have 7 minutes past 11.
I make it only just after 11.
My watch has stopped. I must have overworked it.
So, as I was saying,
Excuse me, girl. I have to call my business partner.
and he sell agricultural machinery.
Hello? 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 Get the police! Quickly! Police!
Marvin?
Who's there?
Darling, it's me.
Tracy? Tracy, thank God. Just come back at once.
What's the matter?
I can't explain now. Just come back quickly.
Darling, calm down. Are you hurt? What is it?
A man attacked me. He tried to strangle me.
Did he get away?
No, he's dead. Tracy, are you still there?
Marvin,
Yes.
don't touch anything. I'll be with you right away.
All right.
Don't touch anything. And don't speak to anyone. Okay?
All right. All right. Just come back quickly.
I was sitting at the same bar, and I see the same man sitting.
No. Don't sit down.
And
I want to run along. Marvin's not feeling too well.
Is it serious?
Nothing serious. You stay and enjoy yourself.
No, I'll come.
No, it's perfectly right.
Tracy.
oh, with which he was buying me dry martinis.
Tracy.
What happened? Are you okay?
You put something around my throat. It felt like a tie.
Are you sure? Let me see.
I got up to answer the phone and he came from behind the curtains and strangled me. I feel the scissors in my hand and he let go suddenly. And he just fell on the floor.
There's hardly any blood. When he fell, he must have... What are you doing?
I'm trying to get some aspirin. I've got such an awful headache. What is it?
I'd better get a blanket.
Shut the window, please.
I don't think we should touch anything before the police arrive.
He must have broken in. I wonder what he was after. When will the police get in?
Did you call them already?
No, I thought you had to call the police. Why don't you call them now?
Yes.
Where's Alice?
I told her to go straight home.
Did you tell her?
No, I don't know what happened here. I just said it went well. I'll call the police.
Maida Police?
Police, there's been a ghastly accident.
Yes, miss.
A man has been killed.
Your name is?
Witness.
Is that a double S?
No, DICE. CE.
Your address, miss?
Front floor apartment.
Was it an accident?
I don't know.
What do you mean you don't know? Do you think he might have been killed by someone?
I don't know.
Have you any idea who might have done it?
I'll explain it when you call me. How long will it take?
About 2 minutes.
2 minutes.
And don't touch anything. Will you, miss?
No, we won't touch anything. Goodbye.
I will get my coat.
Why?
They will want to see me.
They're not going to see you.
But they will ask me questions.
We can wait until tomorrow. Maybe you should go to bed and take some rest.
Yeah, maybe I should. But, Tracy,
Yes?
why did you phone me?
What? I'm sorry, darling. I'll tell you about that later. I just thought of something. You said he used a tie?
I think it was a tie or a scarf. Is that it there?
No, but I expect you'll find it. Maybe you should go to bed and take some rest now. Yes. Would you come in?
Yes.
Would you like a cup of tea?
Sure, thank you. Mrs. Wendes,
Yes.
may I ask you some questions?
Sergeant, look! It's the other time!
Next, we would like to give special thanks to our sponsors, as well as the teachers and the teacher assistants from our department. Without them, our performance would never have been brought to stage.
我们也诚挚的感谢所有赞助厂商对应外公演19届的支持与鼓励，感谢大英国协、金桥留学家、LTCC 语言训练中心、时代国际英日韩语、泰国古艺、香博苑、亚冠欧日精品店、信宜诊所、来一碗面食馆、跟风布衣坊、金在新银楼、西贡厨房、好棒棒卤肉饭、鲜味食堂、上官景泉、太原茶室、诱惑魔甲、友达商店、上好时光、美美早餐店、元春大药房、真诚素食面线、三峡秉正北大店、一农屋、十全十美、食神卤味、红人生药行、喜羊羊自助洗衣三峡店、树林店、夜玩音乐、上雨林三峡和平店、咖啡亭、鲁都香、华群永香油饭、韩赞、天才号、顶上食府、北大生活五金百货、星河诊所、奇儿眼镜、台湾快木馆。最后也要感谢郑路宏先生帮助搭建本次公演舞台，让我们的演出更加精致完美。让我们以热烈的掌声感谢所有赞助厂商，谢谢你们的支持，让我们今晚的演出更加顺利成功。
Now, let's begin our second act.
接下来，请各位继续欣赏我们精彩的演出。
Almost empty. Remind me to get some more. It was rushed out, but we needed. Marven, the sergeant wanted to know why you didn't phone the police immediately.
I remember I asked you to call the police.
I know, but...
You told me not to speak to anyone.
I know, I told him...
What did you tell them?
Well, I said you didn't phone the police because you naturally assumed that I would do it from the hotel.
That's true.
Yes, well, I was so worried that I just wanted to go home soon. That's why I didn't phone the police. You see, if they get the idea that we delayed reporting it, they might get nosy and ask all sorts of questions. Trust me, you don't want that.
I see. Did they accept your story?
I think so.
That will be Alice.
Good morning, sir.
Good morning.
Mr. Wendes?
Yes.
I'm a police officer. May I come in?
Of course.
Thank you.
Good morning.
Good morning, madam. I'm Chief Inspector Hazel, in charge of criminal investigation of this division.
Hello, Mr. and Mrs. Wendes. I'm Sophie.
Yeah. I think I give your sergeant all the information.
Yes, I've seen his report, of course. But there are a few things I would like to get firsthand. I get that the sergeant only saw you for a few moments, Mr. Wendes.
Yes.
I'm afraid my husband was suffering from considerable shock.
Yes, that was a very nasty experience you had. Mind if I take a look around? Come, Sophie, watch and learn.
Yes, ma'am.
Go ahead. The bedroom and bathroom are through here.
He certainly didn't get in by the back.
And the kitchen has bars on the windows. We assume that he came in by those windows here.
I understand you weren't here when this happened.
No. I was in a dinner party at the Grantham Hotel, and by coincidence, I found my husband when he was attacked.
So, I gather, can you tell me exactly what time it was?
No, I'm afraid I can't. I do remember my watch had stopped.
Did you notice, Mr. Wentis?
No, I didn't.
Please sit down, Inspector.
Thank you.
Have you any idea who he was?
Yes, at least we've discovered where he lived, but there seems to be some confusion as to his real name. He appeared to have several. Had you ever seen him before?
Why? No, of course not. Is this him?
Yes, you don't recognize him.
No, I never saw him.
But didn't you even catch a glimpse of his face?
No, you see, I was attacked from behind and it was dark. I hardly saw him at all.
Yes, but before I showed you this photograph, you said you'd never seen him before, so...
Mr. Wendes, how could you know that if you never saw his face last night?
I don't quite understand.
Inspector, my husband simply means that, as far as he knew, he never saw him before.
Was that what you meant?
Yes.
Now, how about you, madam? Had you ever seen him before?
No, at least.
Yes?
He's very like someone I was at college with, but he looks different without the beard.
What was his name?
I don't know. It must be 20 years since I left it.
Was it Lesgate?
No.
Wilson?
No.
Swann?
Swann? Wait a minute. Yes, that's it. Here's an old photo taken at a reunion. We were at the same college. There, he's there. Why? It's unbelievable.
Did you know him well?
No, he was senior to me.
Have you met him since then?
No, at least.
Yes?
I seen him quite recently, but not to speak to.
When was that?
6 months ago, at the railway station, Victoria, I think. And I remember noticing how little he changed.
Had he appeared then, madam?
Yes.
Mr. Wendes, would you show me exactly what happened last night?
Seriously. I was in bed when the phone rang, and I got up. And I came in here.
Did you switch the light on?
No.
Just show me exactly where you were standing.
I stood here and I picked up the phone.
Now, just one moment. Are you sure you had your back to the window like that?
Yes.
But why?
Why not?
I mean, why go around the desk?
I should have picked up from this side, but I always answer the phone from here.
But why?
In case I have to write anything down, I can hold the phone in my left hand.
I see. Yes, I'm sorry. Go on.
When I picked up the phone, he must have come from behind those curtains and tried to strangle me. He put something around my throat.
Something? What do you mean?
I think it was a tie.
I see.
And what happened then?
Well, he tried to strangle me, and I remember feeling for the scissors.
Where were those scissors usually kept?
In that mending basket. I had forgotten to put them away.
Now, what makes you think he came from behind those curtains?
Where else could he have been?
The curtains were drawn?
They were.
Did you draw them?
I drew them just before I went to bed.
Did you lock the window at the same time?
Yes.
Are you quite sure of that, sir?
Perfectly sure. I always lock up when I draw the curtains.
How do you suppose he got in?
We assume that he broke in.
But there's no sign of a break-in. Our report shows the latch quite undamaged.
Exactly, Mr. Wendes. Why didn't you call the police immediately after this happened?
I was going to call the police when I noticed my wife was on the line. And I naturally thought she would call the police before she came here.
But didn't it occur to you to at least call a doctor?
No.
Why ever not?
He's dead.
How did you know that?
It was obvious.
Did you feel his pulse?
No, of course I didn't. Anyone would have realized he's dead. Just one look at those staring eyes.
So you did see his face after all?
I saw his eyes. I can't remember his face.
Inspector, my husband simply means that. He never saw him then before. And if he didn't came in by those windows, how did he get it?
But as a matter of fact, we're quite certain that he came in by that door.
But the door was locked.
Marven, did you open that door at all, either with gun?
No.
How many keys are there to that door, sir?
Only 2. Mine was in my wallet, and you had yours with you.
Yes, that's right.
Has the caretaker got a key?
No.
Do you employ a child woman?
Yes, but she hasn't got one either. I'm always here when she comes.
What makes you think he came in that way?
His shoes.
His shoes?
The ground was soaking wet last night, and if he had come in by the garden, he would have left mud all over the carpet. As it is, he didn't leave any marks at all, because he wiped his shoes on the front doormat.
How can you tell?
It's a friendly new mat, and some of its fibers came off on his shoes, but surely, and there was a small tar stain on the mat, and some of its fibers showed that as well. There is no question about it.
Wait a minute. I think I've got it. Remember when your wallet was stolen?
Yes?
Wasn't a key inside?
Yes, but it was still there when I got back.
Now, just one moment. I would like to hear about this. Whose wallet is that?
My husband's wallet, Inspector. My husband lost it at Victoria Station, and I got it back from the lost and found 2 weeks later.
Sir, was anything missing?
All the money was gone.
Anything else?
No.
No papers or letters?
No.
Are you quite sure about that?
Yes.
And your latchkey was in your wallet when you lost it?
Yes, but it was still there when it was returned.
But whoever stole the money would have copied the key.
Where was the wallet found eventually?
At Victoria Station.
Wasn't that where you said you saw this man, madam?
When did you lose your wallet? Is that weekend we went to visit Peggy? Yes, it was. I remember now. He was sitting in the restaurant. And is that the place where you lost your wallet? And didn't I say something about summer from college?
I don't quite remember.
That's how he got it. He made a duplicate and returned the original to his wallet.
Before you go any further with this, how did he get it through the street door?
The street door is never locked.
Well, he could have had your key copied, and he could have used it to open the door. But of course, he didn't.
Why not?
Because if he had, the key would have still been on him when he died.
But no key was found when we went through his pockets.
Exactly.
We seem to be back just where we started.
Well, not quite.
Well, then how did you get it?
We'd better get all this down on paper. I would like you both to make an official statement before the inquest. My office is only moments from here. Perhaps you could come now.
Tracy, where?
Alice? This is Inspector Hazel and Sophie. Inspector, this is Alice Holliday. She was with me last night.
How do you do, Miss Holliday? As you were with Mrs. Wendy's last night, you may help us. Now, did you notice what time it was she went to the phone?
Yes. Matter of fact, it was 3 minutes after 11.
How did you come to notice that?
Mrs. Wendy's watch had stopped. Some of us compared times.
Thank you. See? It was when Mr. Wendy's came in here to answer a call that he was attacked.
Did you phone Marven before or after your coworker?
Tracy, I know what I wanted to ask you. Why did you telephone me last night?
Now, just one moment, before I lose the thread of this. Now, at 3 minutes past 11, you left your party to phone your business partner.
Yes, I used the lobby payphone.
How long were you on the phone to your business partner before you called your husband?
I never did speak to him. I couldn't remember his number, so I rang my husband up to look it up in an address book.
You mean you hauled me out of bed to get his number?
Darling, I had to. My business partner was flying to Brussels yesterday, and I have to remind him of something. It's rather important.
Wasn't there a directory in the hotel?
Yes, but his country number wouldn't be in that directory.
And did you phone him?
No. When I heard what happened here, I forgot all about it.
Yes. Miss Holiday, Mr. and Mrs. Wendes are coming to my office now to make their statements. Would you give me your address, miss? I may want to get in touch.
Certainly.
I'll just get my coat.
I'm staying at Perfect's Hotel.
Oh, just write it down there, will you? And your telephone number as well. Have you ever been over here before, miss?
Yes. About a year ago. There you are.
Thank you.
Mrs. Wendes, there's quite a crowd in front of the house. I was going to suggest we left by the garden. Isn't there a gate at the far end?
Yes.
The gate may be locked. Would you mind taking a look, madam?
Certainly.
Sophie, go with her.
Yes, ma'am.
How much does she know about you and Mr. Wendes?
I beg your pardon?
You wrote a letter to Mr. Wendes from New York. It was found in a dead man's inside pocket. I didn't mention it because I wasn't sure how much Mrs. Wendes knew. Have you any idea how it got there?
No.
Where is Tracy?
She's gone into the garden.
Mr. Wendes, when you lost your wallet, did you lose a letter as well?
No.
Marven, it was found in the dead man's pocket.
You did lose it, didn't you?
Yes, I did.
I asked you that before, didn't I?
Yes, but you see, my wife didn't know about it.
This man was blackmailing you, wasn't he? It's no good.
Tracy will have to know.
No!
It's the only thing we can do. After Mr. Wendes lost his wallet, he received these 2 notes.
Last October? How many times have you seen this man?
I had never seen him.
Miss Holiday, come with us.
Yes, of course.
Mr. Wendes, when you make your statement, there may be other police officers present. I shall warn you first that anything you said will be taken down and may be used in evidence.
No, but...
Now, never mind what you've told me so far. We'll forget all about that. But from now on, tell us exactly what you know about this man and exactly what happened last night. If you try and conceal anything at all, it may put you in a very serious position.
I wish you'd explain what you mean by this.
I will. Now, did you admit that you killed this man? Well, you said you did it in self-defense. Unfortunately, there's no witnesses, so we've only your word for that.
But I heard it all, Inspector. Over the telephone.
What exactly did you hear, Mrs. Wendes?
I heard a series of nonsense.
Did you hear anything to indicate that a struggle was going on?
What did you hear, Inspector? It's perfectly consistent with what my husband told me.
So, all you really know of the matter is what your husband told you, isn't it? Now, you suggest that this man came to burgle your flat, but there's no evidence of that. There's evidence, however, that this man was blackmailing your husband.
Blackmail?
I'm afraid that's true, Mrs. Wendes.
And you say that he came in by the window, but we know he came in by that door.
But he can't have come that way. The door's locked, and there are only 2 keys. My wife had hers with her. Mine was in my wallet. Here.
You could have let him in.
Are you suggesting he let him in himself?
At present, that appears to be the only way he could have entered.
Don't even believe I was attacked. How do you think I got these bruises on my throat?
You could cause those bruises yourself. A silk tie was found outside the window. It has 2 knots tied in it. Does that mean anything to you?
I suppose it must have been the tie he used.
We found the twin tie hidden underneath this blotting pad. Can you explain why your attacker should do that?
No.
Were those ties yours, Mr. Wendes?
No.
We know they were. One of the edges had been done with some silk that didn't quite match, and we found the reel of that silk in your drawer.
Tracy, there was a tie here.
I heard the police deliberately planting coups to ensure a conviction.
Her men were here for hours last night. They could have taken those ties and done anything.
Of course, probably by the shoes and doormat as well.
Mrs. Wendes, I should advise you.
Our lawyer will give us any advice we need. Thank you.
Marven, here's your wallet.
Thanks.
You're coming?
But of course, Inspector.
I just wondered. Come on, Sophie.
I charge you that on the 26th of September, you did willfully murder Charlie Alexander Swann. Do you wish to say anything in answer to this charge? And did you, at any time in your life, meet this man Swann? You received a letter from Miss Holliday. This letter was found in the dead man's pocket. Now you say you did not know him. Do you find the prisoner, Marven Witness, guilty or not guilty?
Guilty!
The sentence of this court is that you be taken to the place from whence you came, from thence to a place of lawful execution.
Hello, Alice. Tracy, have you gotten any news from a home secretary? Then, it's tomorrow? Tracy, I take it you do anything to save his life.
We've done everything.
No, we haven't done everything. I've been trying to figure out something, just in case it came to this. I really believe it's his only chance.
Let's have it.
Marven was convicted because nobody believed him. The prosecution made out he was telling lies, and the jury believed him. What did his case really amount to? Just 3 things. My letter, his tie, and the fact that because no key was found on Swann, he must have left it in.
Don't tell me.
Wait a minute. Now, hear me out. This is where you come in. I suppose you go tell the police some story. Anything to convince them Marven wasn't lying after all.
The police are likely to believe anything I tell them.
Tracy, I've been writing this stuff for years, and I'll figure out something for you to tell them. Now, let's take those points one by one. Marven says he never let Swann in through this door. Okay, he must have opened it somehow. Suppose you tell the police that you hide the key somewhere out there? Then Swann could have let himself in.
How did you know it was there?
You told him.
But I haven't met Swann in 20 years.
Tracy, Swann is dead. We've got to make the most of that. You can also say you two met somewhere and planned this whole thing together.
Plan what? Are you suggesting I arrange for Swann to come here to blackmail him?
No. To kill him.
Kill Marven?
That's it.
Why?
Because he said so. He came from behind the curtains, and he tried to strangle me. Okay, that's what he did. Just support everything he said. Don't you see? That's my whole idea.
What about your letter? A man doesn't kill the person he blackmails. That doesn't make sense.
I know, Tracy. It worried me too. But I've got the licks. You just go tell the police that you stole his wallet yourself.
Why should I do that?
Because you wanted to read my letter. When you read it, you got mad and decided to teach him a lesson. You wrote those blackmail notes. Nobody can prove you didn't. And you can also say you never saw Swann at Victoria Station. You just invented that to try to connect him with my letter. You see how it all hangs together?
Alice, why should I want anyone to kill Marven?
I know, Tracy. It's tough for us to see because we both love him. But we need a reason now. We need it badly. Now, let's take one of the old stock motives. Had Marven made a will?
Yes, I believe he had.
Who was the beneficiary?
Why? I am, I suppose.
There's a reason.
Thousands of husbands and wives leaving money to each other without murdering each other. The police are unlikely to believe anything like that.
Well, I certainly think it's worth that try. Face it, they can hang you for a murder that never came off. The most you'd get would be a few years in prison.
Thanks very much.
That's a small price to pay. You would save his life.
That's fine coming from you, Alice. His life wouldn't be in danger at all if it hadn't been for you. It's because of his association with you that he lost the sympathy of the jury. Don't get me wrong, Alice. If there's a slight chance of this coming up, I'll do it. But it got to be convincing. For instance, how could I have persuaded Swann to do a thing like that?
You offered him money or something.
What money? I don't have any.
Yes, you'd have with Marven's.
That will be months before I get my hands on that. And the person don't come in better at credit. No. I'm afraid you should think of something better than that. I know you're trying to help, but can you imagine anyone believing a story like that?
Yes, I can, if you make them believe it.
I don't know what to say. Maybe you should come with me.
That would be a mistake. They know the stuff I write. We raised them.
Hello, Inspector. Is it about my husband?
No, madam. I'm afraid not.
Then, what is it?
We are making inquiries in connection with a robbery that took place about 3 weeks ago, madam.
Can you wait a few days?
Of course, madam. I'm very conscious of position. If I may, I would like to say how deeply sorry
All right, Inspector. Now, how can I help you?
The cashier of a factory in Library Street was attacked in his office, and 2 men laid off with several £100, mostly in pound notes.
What's all this to do with me?
In these cases, all police divisions are asked to keep a lookout for anyone spending large sums of money.
I see.
And I was wondering if you sold anything recently for cash.
Why?
My sergeant happened to be making inquiries at Bill's garage the other day, and it appears that you settled an account there recently for just over 400.
Yes, I happen to have quite a bit on me, so I settled for cash.
Yes. Had you just drawn this money from your bank?
Have you been to my bank, Inspector?
Yes, as a matter of fact, I have, but it wouldn't help me. Bank statements are always jealously guarded.
Yes, but I'm rather surprised you didn't come to me first.
It was only a routine matter after all. I didn't want to disturb you. Where did you get it, madam?
Is that any for business?
If it was stolen money, yes, madam. It is my business.
Do you really think I've been saving stolen money?
Until you tell me where you got it. I should know what to think, shall I? You see, if you got this money from someone you didn't know, I mean, that might be the very person we're looking for. Hello? Is this yours?
What is it?
Somebody's latch key. It was lying on the floor just here.
No. Mine's here.
No, it's not yours. It may be mine then. Yes, it is mine. It must have dropped out of the pocket. There's a small hole there. That's the trouble with this latch key. They're all alike. Oh, sorry, madam. You were saying...
I don't think I was. Was I?
Yes. About the money. I would be grateful if you tell me where you got it. £500 is a lot to carry around.
You said 400 a moment ago.
Did I? Oh, yes. My sergeant decided to dig a little deeper before he put in his report. He said you also paid a bill at your tellers and another for wines and spirits.
I'm sorry he went to that trouble. Had he come to me, I could explain it. I think they won rather a large sum at dog racing.
Over 200?
Yes, over 200.
Why didn't you tell me this straight away?
I was ashamed of being caught going to dog racing when my husband was under the sentence of death.
I know how that is. It helped take your mind off things. Well, that answers everything, isn't it? I'm sorry to bother you at this time.
Not at all, Inspector. Not at all.
There's just one other thing, madam. Have you a black hobo bag?
Don't you say you have found it?
Why? Have you lost it?
Yes. I was going to report it this afternoon. And I think I left it in a taxi.
I see. We must try and get it back, mustn't we? Where did you pick the taxi up, madam?
Hyde Park Corner, about half an hour ago.
Anything valuable?
No. Few books and...
Any money?
5 or 6 pounds in an envelope.
Not 500 or 600?
No, I'm afraid not.
Just as well.
Tell me, Inspector, how do you find out about the bag?
The wine shop said you had it when you paid your bill, so we checked on the teller. They remember you had it when you paid them.
Yes, I used it instead of satchel. You see?
These taxi men are pretty good at turning things in. I hope you will find the right, madam.
Inspector, before you go, I think Mrs. Wendes has something to tell you.
Oh, has she?
And I'd like to show you something in here, Inspector. No wonder you couldn't bear to sleep in this vacuum.
There must be over 2,000 here. Where did you get it?
I can tell you why she got it. This money was to have been paid to Swann after he murdered Mr. Wendes. But as you know, there was an accident, so it wasn't necessary to pay Swann after all. She could have reduced this without questions being asked, so she lived on it. She's been living on it since the 27th of March.
Well, Mrs. Wendes.
Before you came, she was trying to persuade me with the most fantastic story I ever heard. Apparently, I urged Swann to murder my husband so that, correct me if I go wrong, Alice, so that I could inherit all his money, and that isn't all. You remember Miss Holliday's letter? Well, apparently, Swann didn't steal it. I did. And I even wrote 2 anonymous notes. And I kept Miss Holliday's letter and planted on the body. And the tie. Yes, the tie. I had better tell this. It sounds more like a confession. I substituted... Is that the right word? Yes. I substituted my husband's tie and the one that... You do follow me, don't you? What else, Alice?
She told Swann that she would hide the key somewhere out there, probably on this ledge. Then Swann could have let himself in. He hid behind the curtains. Then Wendes telephoned. That brought him...
One moment. If Swann had used Mr. Wendes' key, it would have been on him when he died. Besides, how could Mrs. Wendes get in when she returned from the hotel?
He could have let her in. She could have returned the key back before you come here.
She let herself in her long latch key that came out in a child, don't you remember?
Come on, Alice. Your move.
Swann could have taken the key somewhere down here. Unlock the door, then replace it back before she came in.
All right, Miss Holliday. This is all very interesting, but it isn't getting me any nearer to what I came to find out.
But this is life and death. What else matters?
What matters to me is where Mrs. Wendes get his money. That's all I want to know. Just a moment, please, miss.
Wait a minute, Inspector, look. The last check she wrote was on the 26th of March. This is before all this happens. And she's been living on it since.
Miss Holliday.
Sorry.
She hadn't drawn any large sums from her bank. Nothing over 1,000.
But look, Inspector, practically every week, 200, 400, 600, she could have saved it up.
I could have been planning this for years.
Then where did you get it?
Do you really want to know? I warn you, you won't like it, Alice.
Oh, come on.
All right. You asked for it. When you called me back at night from the party, I found him kneeling beside Swann's body, going through his pockets. And he kept saying he had something of his, but he couldn't find it. He was almost hysterical. That's why I didn't let police question him. In the state he was in, he would have told every lie under the sun. The next morning, he showed me the money, just as it is now. Only one knows. And he said, if anything happens to me, don't let them find this. After he was arrested, I took the money in the case to Charing Cross Station and left it in the other check room. Whenever I needed money, I took it out and left it in that check room. I knew if you had found it, he wouldn't stand a chance. You see, he was just about to give it to him when they killed him instead.
You don't expect anyone to believe this, do you?
I have really no idea. How about it, Inspector?
I must say, I suspected something like that.
You're not going to check up on this? He's being executed tomorrow.
All this has been out of my hands for months. There's been a trial and appeal.
Of course, it wouldn't mean much to you. You'd have to admit you arrested the wrong person.
I think you'd better go.
You best I'll go. But you've made one mistake. What will happen when Marven hears this?
He'll deny it, of course.
And perhaps he'll change his will. You'll have done it all for nothing, Tracy.
If I told a story of hers, would anyone believe me?
No, not a chance. Before nearly every execution, someone comes over like this. It must have been distressing for you, coming as it did.
Do you think they would let her see him? I don't want him upset just now.
Have a word with your lawyer. She might be able to prevent it. You should get that money in the bank before somebody pinches it.
Thank you, I think I will.
I hope Miss Holiday is not waiting outside to see me. Would you mind taking a look, madam, to make sure she's gone?
All clear.
By the way, madam, I was asked to tell you there are a few belongings of Mr. Wendy's at the station.
What sorts of things?
Just books and a wallet, madam. They'd like you to come and collect them.
You mean after tomorrow?
Yes, or today if you like. Just ask the sergeant. She knows all about it.
Well, goodbye, Mrs. Wendy's. I don't suppose we shall meet again.
Goodbye, Inspector. And thank you very much.
Maydaville Police, Chief Inspector here. Give me Sergeant Williams, quick.
Williams here.
Hazel, look, Williams. I've got back in again. Stop the ball rolling.
Right away, Inspector.
Inspector Hazel, it's me, Alice Holiday.
Now, what are you up to? What's the idea? Never mind.
Inspector.
Get out here. Shut up. If you want to save Mr. Wendy's, Keep quiet. Let me handle this.
How are you possibly going? What is all this?
They talk about flat-footed policemen. Medicines protect us from the gifty amateur. You better prepare yourself for a surprise this holiday.
Marven!
Alice. Where's Tracy?
She's gone out.
When will she be back?
We're not sure.
You've got the key. Why didn't you use it to open the door?
I did, but it didn't fit the lock.
You know why, don't you?
No, I didn't. Has a lot been changed?
May I have your wallet a moment?
Whose key is this?
I thought it was mine. I don't know.
What's going on now?
Your wife explained it, you know. You can tell us all about it now.
What is it? I don't understand.
No, I don't believe you do. Sophie.
Yes?
Take the wallet back to the station and get that car out of the way.
Yes, ma'am.
Marven, how did you get here?
I don't know. About an hour ago, the warden came to see me and just said I was to be taken home. Then two detectives brought me here. They said I could go, but I couldn't get that door open. Where's Tracy? She was supposed to visit me this morning, but they said she couldn't come. Has anything happened to her?
No, nothing. I don't want to interfere, but do you think you can tell us where you're up to?
Mr. Wendes, what I'm about to tell you may come as a shock. We strongly suspect that your wife had planned to murder you. Tracy arranged from Swann to come here that night to kill you.
How long have you known this?
Did you suspect it yourself?
No. Just a little bit.
When did you find out, Inspector?
Well, the first clue came quite by accident. We discovered that your wife had been spending a large number of pound notes all over the place. It ran into over 800, and it appeared to have started at about the time you were arrested. Now, I had to find out where she got the money and how. Then I remembered, after you were arrested, we searched this flat, and I saw a copy of a bank statement at that desk. So yesterday afternoon, I went to the prison and asked to see your wallet. While I was doing this, I managed to leave your latchkey. Highly irregular, of course, but my blood was up. And then this morning, when your wife was out, I came back here to look at her statement. I never saw it, because I never got through that door. You see, the key that I taken from your wallet didn't fit the lock. Bennett?
It's Wendes.
That was a near one.
May I know, please? William speaking.
Hazel, look. She just came back and couldn't get in. She's found out about the key. Has Sophie arrived with a wallet?
Yes, Inspector.
Good. Now listen. Give Wendes those books and the wallet, and make sure she sees the key. Better make her sign the content and check for them. If she wants her own key, tell her I've gone to Glasgow.
Right, Inspector.
Any questions?
No questions.
Call me back if she leaves the station.
Right, Inspector.
Well, Miss Holiday, have you got it?
I don't think so. Where's Mr. Wendes' key?
It took me just half an hour to find it.
But if it was there, why didn't Wendes use it just now?
She didn't use it because she doesn't realize it's there. You see, you were very nearly right. She told Swann that she would leave your latchkey under the stair carpet and told him to return it to the same place before he came in. But as Swann was killed, we assumed that your key would have still been in one of Swann's pockets. That was a little mistake, because Swann had done exactly as you suggested, Miss Holiday.
He unlocked the door and returned it to a set place before he came in.
And it's been out there ever since. So the key that Wendy's took out of Swann's pocket and returned to his wallet was
Swann's own latchkey. Mind you, even I didn't guess at it once. Extraordinary, you know. It had always puzzled me that no key was found on Swann's body. After all, most people carry a latchkey with them. And then I had a brainwave. I took the key that was in your wallet to his girlfriend's, Miss Fendorn's, and unlocked the door of her flat. And then I borrowed a telephone and called Scotland Yard.
So why did you bring me here?
You were the only other person who could have possibly left that key outside. I had to find out if you knew it was there.
Suppose I had known?
No, you didn't.
Inspector Hazel?
Williams?
Yes, she's just left the station.
Right. Just try and hang on a little longer. Bennett, she just left the station. Give me a thumb if she comes this way.
Yes, madam.
What happens now?
Sooner or later, she will come back here. As I pinch her latchkey, she will try the one in the wallet.
When that doesn't fit, she'll realize her mistake, put two and two together, and look under the stair carpet.
But if she doesn't do that, all this is guesswork. We can't prove a thing.
That's perfectly true. But once she opens that door, we shall know everything. What will you do? I'm to phone the Home Secretary. He's standing by for a call now.
And Mr. Wendy's?
We'll have nothing else to fear.
Or Marvin?
Yes, I'm alright.
She's here.
Quiet now, you two.
What's she doing?
She's wondering why that key doesn't fit. She's going around to the back entrance.
She stopped again.
Why?
Well,
she's looking at the wallet now. She's trying to remember when she put the key back in there. Now she's given up.
I'm afraid we've had it this time. She's going way down the street. Hold it. She stopped again. She's turning round. She's staring at the key. Of course, that's Swan's key, isn't it?
Yes.
Now she's got it. She's coming back fast. She's remembered.
I suppose you are still on duty.
We all know that justice will be served, though sometimes in an unusual way.